Beautiful. Back at the table.
Everything started.
Back where everything started, actually. This is IKEA. This is IKEA. Got this off a buddy. Anyways, we got a lot of new things coming. A lot of new things happening. A lot of changes. You got to be grateful for it. Change is good, especially if it's in the positive direction. You know, and obviously the prevailing thing that we have is on your feet.
Well, excuse I'm not wearing socks at the moment. It's a nice Sunday evening.
Oh, you're gonna let the dogs
I'm letting the dogs out completely, but it's our first sample of one of our first generations of slippers that we're creating. So this is very bland sample, but we're just kind of doing a durability test and really creating a new product for you guys. So it's kind of a sneak peek for you guys.
Most definitely. Yeah, with every detail, especially when it comes to the product, we try to be accountable for. And I believe we nailed it. Obviously, we've been in rush mode 25/8 with them. But I think for our first debut of something besides a slipper, or besides a lace, I should say, this is
definitely just the details. It's definitely trying to capture that on everything. Through every experience is, I think, going to pay off.
And it does, because we're in a position now in which we are trying to establish ourselves as a brand. And, obviously get our product out and really our brand out to as many people as possible to at least be aware of us, and with the creativity that we've been able to put together through our various marketing, I think we're accomplishing just that. But obviously, at the end of the day, we want to provide a product that's worth it, that expresses who we are and what we represent. And part of that, of course, is attention to detail. From the box that they're coming in, to the goodies that are inside of the box, to the actual shoe itself, obviously, have all been accounted for. And I believe it's going to do well. It's obviously simply based off of the faith of it, but when you believe you're doing something right, oftentimes you get rewarded for it. So
I think the customers will appreciate the journey that they'll kind of go on once they get the new, just the whole experience of the new bread experience when they get their first packaging.
Most definitely, the bread experience of us striving for excellence, and we even speak about it on the box itself. Kind of some of the process that we went through to create this. It's a new generation of products coming out nowadays. We're seeing people recognize, especially now with all the tariffs, that oftentimes with the economies of scale, the product can get diluted. Whether that is the box or the materials that are used within the shoe or whatever product really nowadays. So being accountable for it, using the best judgment of material acquisition, of course, creativity of, how should we deviate from the mainstream, and obviously what we should do to put our own twist on it, to an extent that doesn't, that's not taking us, it's not removing us too far from the norm. In a sense, it's basically taking what's normal and doing it better. I have it written down on the board down there. It's like, and this is something that I was talking with my brother when I went home to go visit him this past Easter weekend was, especially with our generation, Gen Z, there's two sides of the generation in which we're mentally always trying to stand out, but yet still fit in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that's obviously hard to accomplish. But we're trying to ride that wave quite essentially with it.
Definitely a new gap in the way people look at things. Just, completely from the parents to even like, the elastic, just the laces. There's a gap that's naturally getting built that people aren't really noticing. That you're tossing out the shoes and you're going for the slip-ons, you're going for everything just because everyone just wants more, easier it is, the more people are getting into that wave. Just like, you look on TikTok, you're scrolling on TikTok, you're there for 1 second. If you like the video, you're going to stay. If it's just like your product or your shoe, you got to, you deal with a shoe you don't like putting on every day, you're not going to wear it. But just like a TikTok video, you see it one time, you're going to go back. You're going to view that account just like a shoe. If you like the product, you're going to keep wearing it.
Most definitely, and it, you take it to the furthest extent. Humans inherently default to comfort, quite essentially. But even when we say, what does bread represent? Comfort, style, and convenience. That's when we could really put all of it together. And I'll draw it like this analogy. Let's say you have a boot that has laces, and it's a real comfortable boot. Maybe memory foam on the inside, but it could be a pain to put on. It's having all three of those factors working together all at once. It's less of just having one or two. But
I mean, a lot of companies are made and products are made just from, say you own the boot, and you struggled and you had the product that people couldn't slip their shoe on, but I made the boot and I used to wear your boots and said, man, your boots, I just can't do that, so let me make the boot myself. Then at the end game, I'm gonna have a better product than you, just because you had issues with your product. So a lot of companies, their products are made from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that no one ever creates a new product. Like, let's be honest, we didn't create shoelaces. You created a solution that other people has problems, and that's how the product was made. So it's not really recreating the wheel. It's just doing it better with people's errors, and that's how you can really grow the brand.
Most definitely. That's how you grow
anything.
Anything. Do it better than the last person's doing. Do what they're doing that is right, but build on top of it, and of course, put your own fingerprint on it. Your own stamp. We started with laces. Never planned on stopping there.
No.
Decided to create a slipper, and we had the idea of this actually. It was past winter. Must have been January, February, in which we, quite essentially came together and said, let's make this happen. And, here we are a few months later, finally got the final sample, one of the finals. The actual slipper itself is going to look a little different to that one. But regardless, it's going to be a superior product. And I say that because going back to the economies of scale, like we said, a lot of companies just trying to simply just save the bottom line cost, and will use materials that wear easily, wear and tear easily, and that's this new generation coming up. We're kind of seeing through that.
We are.
Okay, the product was great for a week, and now it's broken.
People are more vocal. If a product sucks, they're taking it to social media. They're going to be, back in the day, let's just say our parents, they're going to go email the company. That review kind of is pretty hidden. Hey, this product broke. Can I get a new product?
Yep.
In our generation, if a product's not very well made, or just, they're posting about it. They're letting other people do not buy this product.
Yep.
So that's when, we have to, we take pride in every step, if it's customer service, if it's every detail, to really, just making sure that, that's just how it is. It's a transition that's happening.
What does this all boil down to? We want to make sure you get your money's worth.
Yes.
If not more.
Yes.
Every time you make a transaction with us, that always is we go above and beyond. And of course, that's more than just the product. That's the service, even down to the marketing.
Yeah.
Just because somebody isn't going to buy your product doesn't mean they can't be entertained by your persona,
Yeah.
quite essentially. So,
We got a big weekend coming up on this weekend on Saturday. Yep, Saturday morning.
yeah, what do we got going on?
Good Morning America. So we have no idea how it's going to go.
Yeah.
But, fully first national televised
Yeah,
product, about the laces. So it's going to, that's a great message for us, really good for the, just everything about the company. We're just
most definitely.
pretty thankful, just kind of, blessed to be able to even be on that this Saturday.
Yes.
So.
Yes, most definitely. It's great timing. GMA should, there's no shoulds with GMA. We're thankful to have this opportunity, and whatever happens. We're just trying to spread our message, and
A lot of new customers, a lot of new faces we'll have to,
yeah,
take on the journey with us. So it's exciting.
you have to welcome them in. A lot of people that purchase from us see us on social media.
They come back. They know us. It's like we're their friends almost.
Most definitely, surely you are.
Yeah.
And we're going to a straight open new market.
Mm-hmm.
So, with this, we're not doing anything crazy. They're doing all the talking and all that. We're kind of essentially just
In the background,
making sure that people get the product, and we'll see. I think it might be our busiest day that we've seen, and it's always a we'll see, and that's I'm starting to realize that's an okay answer to have.
It is. You don't want to overcompromise. You don't want to say, "Oh, I believe this is going to happen." Then you get your hopes down. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of the same thing. Projections for Christmas time. You're not going to say, "Okay, we could do this." Say, "Oh my, last year we did this. We should do this." The real answer is we'll see. You really can't. You can do everything you can in your power to try to get those forecasts right, but nothing really is ever 100%.
Especially with the startup.
Yeah.
Forecasting a startup is.
You never know.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's pretty much that.
Yeah.
We do the best we can.
Yes.
But you never know. Something can pop off, and one day we could wake up and have a new another article about us. It could be anything.
Yeah. Most definitely. We're shooting for that mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
We want to. I call it. This is my analogy. It's like the forest fire, quite essentially. That spark that starts it all. And regardless, of how it goes, we're going to business as usual, quite essentially. We're going to make sure that we keep doing what we're doing, because obviously it's leading us in a positive direction.
Yeah, even the forest fire you were talking about, like Amazon, we're getting. That's really been doing a lot too. The slippers, you guys kind of keeping you updated on everything. Slippers and Amazon. We've been in the Amazon jungle, we like to call it. It's just battling through it. So we're just trying to become the elastic shoelace on Amazon, which would really, mainstream. That could be even retail. We're in Shields, biggest order of retail in the last month or so that's good to see. But there's more to come for the laces that we don't even know. That I think we just kind of, just riding the wave.
Most definitely. Brand building. And first company I've ever started, you have some experience service side, but you're working products now and holding inventory, and it's exciting.
It is.
It's all exciting. So, stay tuned. Be looking into it. A lot of great things happening. I have to speak not too descriptive. Never know who's watching. But great things happening. Looking to expand product lines that we established today. Going beyond the lace. And, this all comes down to building a good brand and you all support. We can't thank you enough for sticking by us in our trying times. As we've said, we're just guys having fun. Trying to make it work. Gen Zers, Gen Zing. A whole bunch of social media action happening and innovation, really. So
then for podcast, we're gonna try to start doing this every day. Sitting down, giving us new topics. So even in the comment section or anything, just kind of giving us ideas. If you want a story about Nick, want a story about myself, you want a story about anything, we're kind of open.
business advice,
Anything, business advice, business facts,
any advice,
anything. We're both 23. I graduate college in 2 weeks actually, so there's a lot of facts and stuff that we have for you and stuff we want to learn from you guys. So
most definitely, let's make it happen. Onwards and upwards.
Yep.
Let's get this bread.